All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ian Frankel. I am a federal growth lead here at Jaxon AI. And today we're going to give you a showing of our technology DSAIL. So at Jaxon, our main mission is to make AI more trustworthy in workspaces. And we have a few technological offerings which do so. DSAIL, which is our neurosymbolic rules engine, and DEAM, which is our AI T&E harness. Today, though, we're going to be focusing on DSAIL, which allows you to evaluate your data against your policies, rules, and regulations. DSAIL can deploy as a standalone application for human engagement, or as a last-mile verification tool at the top of your AI tech stack to validate your AI outputs. Some use cases for DSAIL is primarily used for high-rigor mission-critical workflows. So think classification of data, security clearance processing, FOIA processing, and course of action or co-op generation. All of these use cases are areas where there is no room for error, and you need to have 100% trust in your AI tool. The problem, so LLMs are not trustworthy. Every day across the Department of War, analysts make decisions that determine who gets a security clearance, whether a contract is compliant, and whether a supply chain transaction is fraudulent. These decisions must be auditable, consistent, and legally defensible. They are increasingly being made with AI that produces answers that no one can explain in high-stakes government decisions. That is a liability and not a limitation. Excuse me, and is a limitation. DSAIL was built to eliminate that. So policy-driven document review is everywhere across the Department of War. FOIA processing, per the DOJ's fiscal year 2024 report, outlines that agencies close over 1.5 million requests and still ended with a backlog above 250,000. Supply chain fraud detection, per the GAO's 2025 report, stated that the Department of War faces over $1.5 billion in annual losses. That is, sampling-based review just simply cannot catch, specifically in regards to personal security, adjudication, acquisition compliance, and the declassification of documents. In every workflow, the pattern is the same. Vast volumes of documents, complex policy analysis, and decisions must be audited, appealed, and defended. Manual review cannot scale due to the volume of work, and generative AI makes it worse by hallucinating justifications, applying exemptions, and inconsistently producing outputs that cannot be traced to statutory authority. Our solution of this is DSAIL. So DSAIL, which stands for Domain-Specific AI Language, is a neurosymbolic rules engine which combines document reading capabilities of large language models with formal symbolic logic to produce provably accurate, consistent, and auditable decisions. And briefly, this is how it works. DSAIL ingest your agency's policies and regulations and formalizes them into machine executable logic with subject matter expert input. When the document is submitted, the LLM layer answers tightly scoped rule-specific questions to extract relevant facts. The logic solver evaluates them against the encoded policy and returns one of three outcomes of pass, fail, or unknown. Each with a full reasoning trace tied to the specific statutory citation that drove that decision. The proof is the neurosymbolic benchmark. Jaxon published a benchmark study which we tested DSAIL head-to-head against frontier models on a personal security adjudication use case and evaluating the adherence to CEED4 adjudication guidelines. DSAIL achieved 100% consistency, completeness, and correctness against ground truth. GPT-4, was 79% consistent and 36% complete, and Gemini 3 was 79% consistent and 34% complete. Only DSAIL produced logical, human, auditable trace of every decision, and because the architecture is deterministic, results are reproducible. Any agency can then run this benchmark against its own policy or company of choice. So the only alternative is retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, but the alternatives fall short. RAG retrieves context but cannot verify compliance. LLM as a judge produces inconsistent verdicts with no audit trail, and knowledge graphs visualize relationships but can't enforce rules. Each is a probabilistic guess, and DSAIL is a formal proof which works. So quickly, let me get to the actual platform just so you guys can see how it works. If you can give me one moment. Okay, so this is DSAIL, and I will show you guys an example of how this works. So this is a generated email for a FOIA request. This would be, again, under the FOIA use case. As you can see here are the FOIA rules and which ones trigger a certain FOIA exemption to be enacted so the document or set of documents should not be published. This is the actual DSAIL code down here. And here is that natural language human context, which our subject matter expert would come in and add that for your agency's needs or the private company. So adding, again, this test run of the email to see if it triggers any one of the exemptions. Just give it one moment. Seems to be taking a little longer, but if you just give it a moment, it should come with a result. Here, let me see if I can restart the tab, maybe. There we go. So it triggers an unknown result. Therefore, the adjudicator or the individual who is reviewing this would have to go again back into the document, see exactly what rule it is unknown, which is triggering that unknown result, which would be this one. So flagging documents where specific federal law expressly prohibits disclosure of information. But now if we test another email or another test document, again, going back into the FOIA rules and running that test. It triggers a true result. So therefore, this document does trigger the federal law prohibition exemption for FOIA. And the adjudicator would see that, see exactly what query would trigger that, and therefore choose to not release the document or send it for further review. Obviously, this would go, you don't have to test it individually, and you can test it under all of the rule sets when you do a full run. But for the purposes of this demo, we'll just be sharing that one individual thing. I don't see any questions, but wanted to thank you guys for joining. And if there are any further questions that you may have, please visit jaxonai.com to either schedule a demo or feel free to reach out to either me or anyone else on the go-to-market team for any of the technological offerings. Thank you.